Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pink Table Talk. I am your host, Loria Reed, and we are back with another great episode here on the Hope TV. I hope you guys have been enjoying our shows. We've got some great content. If you ever want to go back and look at something that we've done, please go to our YouTube page of the Hope TV, the House of Hope Atlanta, and make sure that you're following us as well, and our pastor, Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr. I almost missed that junior, but we are so glad that you guys are with us today. We've got another great show. So that you know the routine, I always ask you, please begin sharing this. Let your girlfriends know, text them, let them know that we're on. We've got another great show. We've got great content for us, by us women. Men, of course, you're always welcome, but this is really for our ladies. So ladies, I hope that you all are watching and that you're telling your friends about us. So let's get started with today's show. I am so excited. I'm always excited about our shows, but I'm really excited about the one we have today. Our topic, let me start with our topic. Our topic is living my best next. Not living my best life, like Lil Duval, but living my best next. So some of you, it's like, what's next? Where am I transitioning to? We're coming out of quarantine. What do I do next? And we're going to talk about those things. And we've got two great women that you guys are going to enjoy so much. They are my favorites, and I know they'll be yours. So let me introduce them, but make sure that you're sharing and that you're liking this and that you're telling us where you're watching from. All right. Okay. So our first guest, she has three daughters, three granddaughters. She's a mother. She loves life, loves traveling. She's been looking up where she's going to go after the quarantine. She is so much fun. She is the co-host on Forever Young on Hope TV. And I am so excited to have her with us today. And you'll understand why when you hear her. Please welcome Miss Jean Hendricks. Hello, Miss Jean.
Hello. I am delighted to share this particular time with you today. I can't hold myself still enough. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me.
I'm so glad you were able to come. She has had me laughing already so far, and I just can't wait to get to us talking because you're going to hear her personality. I love it so much. Our next guest is my church mama. I love her so much. She is the former, I call her our bishop of the Women of Hope because she's never stopped. She just kind of passed the reins to me, but she still is helping me, and I don't ever want her to go anywhere. We love her so much. She is retired from being the human resource director at a major bank. She is a mother of two children and two grandchildren, and she's also the wife of Mr. John. We love him so much as well. She has been phenomenal. She's always classy, always giving tips to women, loves women's ministry, and is a perfect example to me of what a woman should be. So would you all welcome my homegirl, my church mama, Miss Letice Reynolds. Hey.
Good to be on with you all today, too. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, ma'am. I am so glad that you're on with us today. So we are going to get started. I'm going to ask you guys a whole bunch of little, questions to kind of pick your brains because you all have a lot of wisdom. And sometimes we just don't ask questions so that we can know. I mean, you guys have a wealth of information, and I'm just going to pick your brains. Is that all right with y'all?
That's
fine.
Right.
What little I have.
I know what little you have, what lot you have. But anyway, so the climate of today and right now, we've got a lot going on with the protest, with a lot that's happening. And you all know the struggle even before, I was born. You all were in it in the 60s and the 70s. And not only were you in it, you were working in corporate America. You were having to climb the ladder of success. Still having to go through the struggle as not only being a Black person, but a Black woman. So what my question is as being attractive, educated, beautiful women, how did you navigate being in corporate America? And I'll start, who wants to start first? I'll start Miss Jean, since she's falling out of her seat and can't wait to talk. How did you navigate being in corporate America in the 60s and the 70s?
Well, Loria, to be honest with you, I was not directly in corporate America. I was on the front line to help bring about the change that you can be where you are today. I was in the struggle. I was one of the foot soldiers under the command of Dr. Martin Luther King. And that was a very, very difficult time in my life as I grew up as a teenager and into young adulthood, when we were not given the full rights of just the average citizen. And we were organized in my hometown, and I became a very vital part in the civil rights movement out of Albany, Georgia. There was never a chance where there was a civil rights movement meeting that I did not attend. I had the opportunity at one meeting to actually meet and listen to Martin Luther King. To bring about a change in my hometown, I decided that I must be a part of it. I had to go to jail. I had to march. Every march that I participated in Albany, Georgia, did not lead to my going to jail until the very last one that I participated in. I did go to jail, and I served a week, 7 days in jail. And they told us before we went to jail, we were given the statements that when you make this commitment, there's a chance that you may be jailed, you may be fired upon with water hose, or you may lose your life. And being a young person, we were all ready for that. We were ready to lay down and die so that our world could change, would hopefully be a better place for all people, not just African Americans, but for all people, that we can live and go to school together. So that was one of the highlights that I would bring forth now, so that people in corporate America can have positions, and not based on the color of their skin, they're denied certain position, as it was when I was growing up as a child, as a young teenager. That's what I would put forth as far as helping with what is called the corporate America, so that African Americans and others can be a part of that.
Amen. Wow. Learn something new every day. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Yes. And Ms. Matisse, I know you were in human resources. So how did that play with you being at a major bank and other places I'm sure that you've worked? How did you navigate through those waters, and what advice would you give a woman? And how did you do that in the 60s and 70s is my question.
Well, it wasn't easy, but one of the things that I believe I had going for me is I had great teachers. Black teachers back in the 60s and 70s. They were like your parents away from home.
Yeah.
And so there were certain things that they taught us about what we would face once we finished school. And so once I got into corporate America, I began to see that there were very few of us, minorities, but a lot of whites. And so we were subjected to some prejudices and some racisms, but we knew how to navigate through it. Didn't lose our cool, did our work. The interesting part about it to me is that your average work every day was not enough. You always had to go over and beyond to even get noticed. And that was one of the ways I believe that I was able to move to the top. But once I got to the top and I realized what the glass ceiling was and how it affected all women, not just minorities, but all women, I began to really take notice in how limited the workforce was back then of competent, intelligent, and smart Black men. I would come home and teach and talk to my boys, talk to my husband about some of the things that I had observed and how difficult it was for a white man to ever submit himself under the leadership of a Black man. It didn't matter how smart he was, but it was just something that bothered me down through the years. There were some things that I had to do, some chances that I had to take. So believe me, every single day I went in with prayer and I leave praying, because you had to take that with my personality. You have to understand my personality. I'm not one to just sit back and see something going on that's wrong and just blend in with it. It's almost like God created me to speak up, speak out. And so I would take some interesting chances in trying to share with whites what we experienced. If you're gonna do punishment for John Henry, you're gonna do the same thing for Edward, or we're all going to jail. And so I would have to make little comments like that to white executive managers, because I was over the operational area, which meant that 90%, if not 95% of the workers were minorities. And so God helped me to understand they needed me because I was the only one at that level that could understand how to treat, interact, and deal with our people. And so they would listen. And I felt like that was because of my relationship with Christ. That's why he wanted me to get to the position that I was in.
Wow. It sounds like you guys have had to overcome a whole bunch of setbacks and barriers crossing over and going through. So how were you able, Ms. Jean, and I'll start with you about that. How were you able to go through those? And you can add to whatever you wanted to say in addition.
Okay. I was going to say when Latice mentioned the fact that we had good teachers during the 60s and the 70s, they were role models to us. And even during those particular times when we were in school, we had prayer, and that meant a lot to us as students. Yeah. And then as I moved into the movement, it was always about prayer. We prayed before we went out to march. When we marched and the police had us to stop, and when we stopped, we fell down on our knees and we prayed. So prayer was an important part of change, and it's so unfortunate now. That's what's going on in our world right now. I have not seen anybody stopping as a group to pray. I'm seeing people kneeling down, but I haven't seen anybody take the rams to actually kneel down and pray to God and ask for his help, ask for his direction. And I think that may be what's missing in what's going on now with the bombings and the fires and the, tearing up the cities and this kind of thing. It happened during our time also back in the 60s and early 70s, but not as much as it is today. The young people are not listening to parents. Parents are not saying to the children that this is wrong. There is a way to do it. I have 2 nieces now that's out on the line right now marching. I've spoken to one of them and I said, I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you're out marching, but be careful. It's okay to march, but now when you march, you're taking your own life in your own hands, because right now you have no leaders. So there's nothing wrong with marching, expressing yourself, carrying a sign. That helps bring about a change. But you have to also be careful and be prayerful, most of all. Let God be your direction. Even those people that are marching, that before they get on that line, they need to ask God, should I go? Is it okay for me to go out, God? And if he says yes, or if he says, no, you stay because something's going to happen tonight, then you don't go. Okay?
Amen. Wow. That was good. That was very good. Ms. Latice, did you want to add anything to that before I move on?
Say is back in those days, we dealt with a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on top of coming to work and doing 100% plus. And I think that the thing that helped me through all of that was staying on top of and ahead of what I knew was coming. See, it was our color. I mean, the race was a key factor. But the other thing that I soon caught on to is that white folk could not stand the fact that we were smart. God endowed us that ability to think and to get ahead of a lot of this stuff. But here's the thing that I want to say to a lot of young people who are faced with that today. Stop moving so fast and not taking enough time to pray and hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. When I think back about some of the things that I had to endure, that's what taught me that getting quiet, praying, and listening, God responds. God always responds. But if your mind is busy, your body is busy, and you're going here and fro and back and forth, you can't hear God. And when God says, like Jesus said, stay, and sometimes you all, it's not the whole book of the Bible that you got to try to remember. God can be so simple. And he'll just say no, he'll just say yes, or he'll just say stay. And so I paid a lot of attention to that during those days, because I also realized too, a lot of Black people probably were under so much stress, Laria and Jean, that they had nervous breakdowns. We don't talk about that. But when you think back about the pressure that our parents, just our parents, because my mother said in Crystal's downtown, when Blacks were allowed to come in and get a burger, but you couldn't sit at the counter. Woolworths,
Right.
all those stores. She actually set in on those, but she took the time to come home and share that with us. So we understood what we were entering into to a certain degree. But once you get in it, I'm telling you, you don't have a choice but to rely on God. And that another thing I want to say too, don't go to your friends, especially in the workplace, with a lot of your anger, a lot of your issues. Because I learned from being quiet and listening to God, some of them same folk that sit at the table with you will be the very ones to take back what you said.
Wow.
And I would
That's
preach that to my children when I would come home, because I wanted them to understand, even as of today, some of the same issues we dealt with, Jean, Loria, they're dealing with them today.
That's right.
And
They
so
are.
equip your children at an early age on what to expect. And I have to give a shout out to my daughter-in-law and my son with my grandchildren too, because they are exceptional, not only in their academics, but also in sports. And believe it or not, those babies are confronted with the same kinds of things. And so they're talking to them at a young age so that they can understand it's not about what somebody else thinks about you. It's about who you are. You got to understand who you are, Christ. You got to understand what your strengths are. And once you put those things in perspective, doesn't matter what anybody else is saying. Stay focused.
Right. That's right.
Yes, ma'am. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So with all of that, did you want to say something, Ms. Jean?
No, go ahead. I'll wait.
Okay. I was going to say, with all of that that you all have been through and the advice that you give to others for moving forward, how does your next look? What does it look like for you right now? Are you just chilling? You retired and you just, footloose and fancy free, as they say? Or are you trying to do a project now? Are you thinking about doing something completely different? Like what? And I want to ask this. Let me start with this. I was thinking about this. With you all going to your next, was it scary? Retiring, Miss Letice or Miss Jean, was it scary moving to a different place? I don't want to say, because ain't none of us getting older. We just transitioning to different areas of life. But with transitioning out of the workplace or even being a mother, just the different times within your life, were they scary for you? Were you excited about your next? And are you excited now about what you have coming up? So I'll start with you, Miss Jean.
Of course, I'm always excited in life itself. Every day brings a new adventure for me. When I did retire, I retired after 30 years of in the education field. I taught special ed in the elementary level when I left high school. So I look forward to it. It was scary at first. Yes, I was. I was a little nervous at first because I didn't know what I was going to do. I did know that I wanted to spend more time at home with my husband. I wanted to spend more time with my grandchildren. And then I wanted to travel. So those were all on my bucket list, as people would say. And I have done a lot of traveling since I have retired. And now this epidemic has put a hold on me, and I'm not really feeling really good about it. But I'm waiting because God has already shown me what I need to be doing now while He has me on hold. So it's exciting as I have traveled. I've been to the Holy Lands and I've walked Golgotha's Hill, where Jesus walked, and that was a very memorable occasion for me to do that because when I walked up that hill, they have different places where they have identified supposedly where He fell with the cross and where they whipped Him as He went up. So that was a very time for me, a very important time for me to actually be able to see that part of the world. And I just recently, not too long ago, came from Bali and Indonesia, that area. So I was excited about traveling. Some other small places, but I have other places to see. By now, I'm supposed to be in Africa, but God said, no, I want you to stay right here first. And He's assigned me right now what I do with my grandchildren. I have a Zoom Bible study on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. and it has really developed into something that has taken off a little bit larger than what I thought it was going to be. But it's all good because they are learning scripture, they are learning more about Christ, and they're discussing things from their personal lives and linking it with God's word. And that's exciting for me right now, where I am right now in this pandemic of being still and listening to what God would want me to do. So they're excited about it. And then on Fridays, I allow them to do what they want to do. And they have come up with some very interesting ideas. They've had plays. They've even had a silent night where they listened to gospel music and they drew and they colored. So those are kinds of things right now that are bringing a lot of pleasure to my life, just seeing how they are becoming closer to Christ through my Zoom Bible study with my 7 grandchildren. I have 1 godchild, and my 7 grandchildren are on. And I've had to step back because my older granddaughter has kind of taken over, and I said, okay, I'm good with that. Just go ahead. And that's basically where I am now. And of course, there's always, I'm quilting also. I do quilting at home. And so I've been making some quilts by hand, and that takes a while. So that takes up a lot of my time. So anyway, God is good, and I'm looking forward to traveling again, getting out there.
Now, when she said traveling, in my mind, I'm thinking you're talking about going to Canada and Miami, going to Pensacola. No, you like, I was going to Bali, and I went.
Yes.
And I'm going to Africa.
Yes.
And I'm going, no, you are a world traveler.
Yes.
So that about that. So, Miss Letice, what does your next look like? What is it for you?
I was never afraid of my next, simply because my next actually started when I was 50. I'm 70 now. And so John and I have enjoyed a lot of travel outside of the United States. Like Jean just mentioned, we've gone to the Netherlands. We've gone to so many other places outside, Greece, Paris, London, England, just all kinds of different places. And I'm glad that I've done that. And just before the pandemic hit, we were getting ready to spend 2.5 weeks in Japan. And of course, we had to cancel that trip. So I'm like, Jean, I'm looking forward to doing that again. But my next, I'm just excited at age 70 to be here in my right mind, able to move about and do the things that I do. I was very much affiliated with a lot of the senior citizens facilities on the west side of town, the Donnell Center. Did some modeling with that group. Women in their 80s and 90s were still walking the runway. We were doing that annually. And being a part of a Red Hatters with some of our church members, and just being active and vital and being a part of what all God has in store for me. I'm excited about life in general. Spending time with my family, spending time with friends. Don't get a chance to see our friends as often as we'd like, but picking up the phone and talking to my girlfriends, just interacting. And I'm just, right now, it's almost like it's the time to reflect, if I can say it that way. And when you think back about all of the wonderful times that God has allowed us to enjoy and be a part of, it is such a blessing. It's such a blessing to see our grandchildren grow up to be fine human beings and figure out what their destiny is going to be, to see my children, who are not, incarcerated, but, a lot of times as parents, we feel like we could have done better. But I'm telling you, when you get children that will go to work every day, take care of their family, provide family, you're not a grandma raising children. Nothing's wrong with it if you had to, but just the fact that you didn't is a blessing. And look, I don't want to put a knock on it, but if I had to have raised my grandchildren, that too would have been a blessing, So there's just so many ways to look at life right now. I love the women's ministry. I love, and Maria is right. That's my daughter, my church daughter. Minister Cross, my church daughter. And I have church daughters throughout that church, Kay name them all, Yolanda Mack, just so many of them. that I can't name right now, and so many beautiful women who have become my friends in prayer. You know, this pandemic is interesting, you all. It was supposed to stop us from doing a lot of things. The only thing that it accomplished, it was the way we were doing things. Now we're doing things different. And you know what? It's not so bad. Because if somebody had told me that I would be doing what I'm doing right now in front of you ladies, I would have said, get out of here. I'm crazy.
Me too.
But
me too.
all this new technology and it's just a wonderful experience. And I want to say this. Throughout my life, I have to say that I am so, and I hope I don't get emotional when I say this, I am so happy that I am a part of the House of Hope, because it's such a conglomeration of different people going in different directions, having different successes, and just watching the young people dance. Everything we do over there is so vibrant. Y'all have to excuse me. I don't know how many people are watching me that may not even be a member of our church. I got to put that plug in there, because that's part of where my is coming from. Watching the young people, watching the older women, hearing a young woman, an older woman in her hundreds say to another young woman, I've been married 3 times. What you waiting on? It's just people at the House of Hope. I'm telling you, it's never a dull moment. It's exciting, whether we're in person or at home. And right now, John and I spend every day, we play 2 rounds of gin rummy. Some of y'all might not be in the, but we play that with each other because that's our special time together. And so life is beautiful. Life is terribly temporary. So you got to get it in and enjoy life for what it is. As my aunt died at 99 said one day, she said, "This is my story and I'm sticking to it."
Well, you ladies just have going on in all aspects. Let me just say that for all of us. And I want to know for us, as we age, what do y'all do to look so young and feel so young, so that we can start doing it now, so I can look like y'all when I get to where you
Laria, I think that one important thing is self-talk. I have said this on the other show I'm on, co-host, and I had one of my 2 people have called me and said, I've started doing that, Jean. I feel better about myself. I get up in the morning, even now, and I tell myself how beautiful and how gorgeous I am, because I believe that. I know I am. I look in the mirror and I say that to myself. Even when my husband was with me, he said, "How many times you going to say that?" I said, "It's okay. You tell me, but I need to tell to myself." I look in the mirror and I'm beautiful and I'm gorgeous and I'm wonderfully made, and I'm okay, with that. So we have to do self-talk. And then in addition to that, exercise is also important. At my age, at the young, beautiful age of 75, I walk every day. I do 2 to 3 miles a day.
Yes. I know you were 75.
I am 75 years young, and I look good.
That's right.
I'm beautiful, and I'm gorgeous. Yes, I am. God has been good to me. He has been awesome, and I thank Him every day for every moment that He gives me. I wake up and I have a friend of mine. She said, "Jean, the first thing I do is," and she's older than I am. She said, "Girl, I get up and I do a big stretch. I stretch." And then she said, "God, I thank you." But see, I get up and I run to the mirror and I say, "I don't even wash my face, honey." I said, "Lord, I'm beautiful. I'm gorgeous. I thank you for the beautiful body that you have loaned me." And I said, now, then my next thing is, now, Lord, what you and I going to do today? Because my husband's not here. And I reflect on him, and then I get my Bible and I do my morning meditations, and of course my readings and those kinds of things. So, and then also staying alert and vibrant as to what's going on around you, and talking to your grandchildren and talking to your children also keeps you young. You're not doing everything they do, but being an open ear to them so that you can either learn from them or also share advice with them as you go through this thing called life.
Wow. Man, that's some good advice. Miss Letice, what you got? Look, I'm listening to both of y'all. I'm writing notes.
Now, I'm gonna tell you about me. Ever since I was a little girl, my mother has taught me always to look your best. People see you on the outside, but and you can fix that up, but you also have to pay attention to what's going on the inside. So Jean is right. Exercising, watching what we eat is very important. We don't do it as well as we should.
Right,
but
exactly.
Have that in your mind. But I'm gonna tell you ladies something. Don't ever go out the house looking raunchy. You don't know who you might run into.
That's right.
And star in one of his movies. You cannot go out the house looking like I don't want to say the word, but whatever that word is that doesn't look good, you should not do that. Black women are beautiful. We were born beautiful. Queens.
Yes.
And so you have to set that example. Before people know what's going on the inside of you, they got to see the outside. So work on yourself. And you young married women, I got to say this to you all. You were good looking and cute when you met that man. Don't let yourself go. When I get up in the morning, I'm like, Jean, I thank the Lord. But if I know I'm going outside this house, makeup going on, going on, all those things that help to enhance and make us look beautiful. And if you have beautiful skin and you don't need all of that, that's okay too. But Mama Reynolds, I need it.
And so do I. And you know what, Leticia, it's not about the age. A young person also need to keep themselves, beautiful as they go out. Whenever they go out, dress as you're going to meet someone, even if you're not. But just do your best, because you never know who you're going to meet. And then most of the time, when you meet someone for the first time, that's a lasting impression on that person.
Exactly.
Yes, right. I agree.
That's some great advice. I love y'all so much. So what would you tell a woman? My question is, what would you tell? I don't want to ask, what would you tell a woman? I'm going to skip that question. What would you tell your younger self? If you could go back, 40 years ago, what would you say to your younger self? What advice would you give you at that time? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
I think one thing that I would tell myself, because at age 70, when you delay exercising, when you start, you feel it. But at a younger age, if you start it, that's why I encourage you young people, start it now. Because if you start exercising and taking care of yourself now, if I had done that younger, in my younger age, I probably would be about 30 or 40 pounds slimmer. It's hard once you get older.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes.
I got you.
That's what I want my younger self to really exercise and work on that body, so that when you get to be 70 and 80 years old, that body is still working the way that it should be working even at that age. So exercise and spend a lot of time before the Lord. Those would be my two things that I would have done even more of. If I were speaking to my younger self.
Yes, yes. And I would agree with Letice wholeheartedly with working on that body and starting at a younger age, because here I am now at 75 in a process of, watching what I eat, trying to lose, not trying, but am losing a little weight at a time. And it's harder when you get older. So it's best to try to stay on a path of good health and losing weight when you're younger, and also increasing your exercise. And if you start exercising when you're young, it becomes a part of your life. Okay. And one other thing I would mention too is investment, saving and investment. Learn what you can about investing and where your money is going and where to place your money to make the best results from it. Investing. And that's something that I wished I had done years ago. I did a little bit of investment, but didn't know a whole lot about it as I've learned as I've gotten older. But I think if I was younger, had I done it in my younger years, it would benefit me more in the age that I'm in now. So those are two things I would give advice to.
Okay. Look, y'all, we are out of time already. It went by so fast.
And you know what? Let me say one more thing. Don't let anything in life stress you out about anything. Don't stress. Give it all to God. You can't handle it, give it to him.
God. That's right.
And it keeps you looking healthy, keeps you looking young like I am, because I give everything to God. I don't worry about anything. God, I can't handle this. You made me. It's yours. Give it to God and close the book on it, and he'll take care of it. Okay? And he'll answer your prayers in his time. Huh?
And keep smiling. Y'all, it
yes,
takes a lot
yes.
to smile. Keep smiling and laughing at things that may not seem funny at the time. When you can't find the keys to your car, and all of a sudden
that's right.
and then you get down the road and you see an accident, it makes you wonder, okay, God.
That's right. There you go. There you go. That's right. That's right. Yes. Yes.
Man, well, thank y'all. Y'all don't want to say anything else before we get off?
You've been an excellent host. Thank you so much for thinking of me and thinking of Leticia and have us come on this Pink Table Talk. It's been wonderful. I've enjoyed every moment of it. And thank you for listening to us. You know, so many times some people don't want to listen to younger people, but as we are. I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you got able to come on. We're gonna have to have you back because you all have, like I said before, you have a wealth of knowledge, wisdom, all of that, all wrapped up in one. You've been through life experiences, and we are so grateful to have you a part of our church family, first of all, and then to be in our community, period. So thank y'all so much for everything that you do for us that we see and don't see. So guys, that's it. It's another episode of the Pink Table Talk. We'll be back next week with our women's topics. I hope you enjoyed our show, and we'll see you next time. Love y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yo, Pastor D checking in, man. Look, y'all ain't seen my face in a minute. You ain't seen my face in a minute because we've been grinding behind the scenes. And guess what? It's showtime. It's game time. A couple of months ago, y'all saw Pastor Smith drop a bomb on the world with saying House of Hope will be running its first NBA 2K20 tournament. And guess what, man? For this tournament, we giving away the big boy prize, cash money, and the first ever championship ring. Yes, that means, I'm talking about stacks, y'all. Not only will you have some in your pocket, but now you have something right there, like the best of them, like the actual NBA players, you feel me? It was so many players who entered into the tournament, if we could take you all, we would have loved to, but we had to take the top 16. And when we zeroed into the top 16, man, we checked their gamer profiles. We made sure they was legit. They weren't playing on rookie, but they've been playing on the Hall of Fame level. You know what I'm saying? So we want to bring to you the greatest players that entered with our first ever House of Hope NBA 2K20 tournament, right? And so listen, I want you to understand how crazy this is. All the players range in age. I've got elementary students to grown folks playing. You feel me? I got elementary, middle school, high school, college students. Some of us old heads even jumped in the tournament. We picked the top 16 and it's go time. You feel me? So listen, you watching Hope TV right now, you already know we live streaming YouTube. We live streaming on Twitch. We live streaming on Facebook. We taking over the ground. Listen, if you can watch it, we own it. You feel me? If you can watch it, we own it. Hey, guess what? All the trash talk is done. They picking up the sticks, and the first game, the first game will air this Saturday. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Listen, I know you feel it. You ain't seen NBA, you ain't seen the NFL. Some of y'all ain't even seen the NHL. Some of y'all ain't seen tennis. Some of y'all, y'all are feeding for sports. I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. You feel me? I've been watching them, right? I brought them all together. We let them talk. And man, listen, they were going at each other's necks. Saying, look, I'm taking the ship. I'm taking the ring. Like, you ain't, listen, I don't even know. Some of you, I don't even know why you here, bro. Just go ahead and give up now. And I was like, ooh, they going at it. But then listen, I zeroed in on some of these silent ones. And you know what they say about the silent ones, right? The ones that don't pop off, the ones that don't do this too much. Those the ones you gotta watch out for. So listen, I got my money. I ain't a gambling man, y'all, but I got my money on 2 of them right now. They ain't saying too much, but I see that dog in their eyes, baby. I see they ain't getting no sleep because they stay up all day and night playing PlayStation. So I know they fired. So listen, I want you to make sure that you check out Facebook. I want you to make sure you check out YouTube. I want you to make sure you check out Twitch. I want you to make sure you check out Hope TV. I want you to make sure you check out Instagram. If you see House of Hope Atlanta anywhere on that, you already know we bringing that heat, baby. We bringing that fire, baby. So listen, let's get to it. It's game time.